This is Kyle Madsen with your top stories on Sports 1140. The Sacramento Kings led the Nuggets by 13 at the half, but couldn't hold on for the win as the top seed in the West left Golden One Center with a 117-113 win. Nuggets guard Jamal Murray led all scorers with 36 points. Buddy Hield had a team-high 28 for the Kings. The Kings are off tonight. They welcome in the Golden State Warriors to the Golden One Center tomorrow. And the NFL postseason kicks off this weekend. First, it's Texans hosting the Colts. That's followed by the Seahawks visiting the Cowboys in Dallas. Sunday's games, it's the Chargers visiting the Ravens. That'll be followed by the Eagles and the Bears. It's 8:01. Time to plan your football playoff party treats. Start at your local Sprouts Farmers Market and Sprouts.com. Those are your top stories. Now back to the drive on Sports 1140 KHTK.
Rise and shine, sleepyhead.
I'm not letting you go to work today.
Wait, what?
Everybody, listen up.
Welcome to The Drive.
Morning, morning, morning.
You're gonna talk.
Get on the phone at 339-1140.
Pretty awesome, huh?
Jump in on our text line at 441140.
Everyone is talking about it. You must know that.
The Drive starts now.
Greg Papa will join us in minutes. the new voice, play-by-play voice of the San Francisco 49ers. As a lifelong 49er fan, I couldn't be happier. Here's something you would never guess about Greg Papa. Greg Papa's an emoji guy. Like, I just texted him, we'll generally text guests and say, hey, 5 minutes, just heads up. And he texts me back the thumbs up. But it's not just that. I hope he doesn't get mad at me for saying this, but Mike, I at the end of last season when we had him on weekly, I said thank you, and what are those emojis where you can get it where it's supposed to look like you?
A Bitmoji.
Bitmoji. So he sends me a Bitmoji back, a Greg Papa Bitmoji that says thank you.
Amazing.
Right? Greg Papa would be near the bottom of my list of people I would think would be Bitmoji guys.
My folks are big into Bitmojis, and it's so funny, dude.
My mother is.
Some of them are really, really funny.
My mom puts their cat ninja. She puts the cat in her Bitmojis, and it's always. That's why with my daughter, with me succumbing to pressure, and my daughter getting a cell phone over the holidays. Like, once my mom and my daughter start getting connected texting, because my daughter has inherited that. I have to approve all the apps that my daughter downloads, and 99 of the first 102 she's downloaded are like Bitmoji for kids, Bitmoji editor. They're just going to go at it and Bitmoji each other 700 billion times. After Greg Papa comes on, we're going to get back to the Sacramento Kings. We talked about Willie Cauley-Stein earlier. We should also probably talk about Harry Giles' play last night and the fact that it seems he's going to be much more featured over the next few games. You never know what the schedule will be and what the coaching staff's going to do with those rotations. You also don't know what's going to happen when Marvin Bagley comes back, and there's questions around that. The Kings and Marvin Bagley, to be very clear, have not put a timetable. On his return. I said yesterday, my guess, all caps guess, underscore guess, is there's about maybe a 20 to 25% chance he might play as early as tomorrow. I think more than likely he plays, I think it's, Monday? I believe it's Monday against the Magic. But I think the bottom line is it's sooner rather than later. Joining us right now. It's so strange, yet again, as a lifelong Niner fan, so cool to say. The brand new voice of the San Francisco 49ers and a dear friend of the show, the one, the only Greg Papa. Greg, it's Dave and Kyle. Thank you for joining us this morning. How are you?
I am doing well. I already spoke to Kyle, so I'm going to turn right to you, Dave. Do I get your blessing? I know this is a little weird.
Yes.
For a lot of people out there or all around the Bay, but do I get your blessing to do this?
You know, before you came on, early in the show, we were very excited about having you on, and I spoke about it, and you've been a longtime friend of our program. And I said, you know, I want to put it out at the very beginning, and you being the professional radio guy, you beat me to the punch, that I'll make a few things clear. Number one, I don't know how much you want to talk about the past, if at all. Number two, I have nothing but respect for Ted Robinson, and I don't want it to appear in any way, shape, or form, and I'm sure you don't either, that I'm trying to disrespect him or the fine work he did. That being said, all disclaimers aside, before we even had you on, before I ever spoke to you, I was very public about the fact that I thought you were one of the, if not the best, local NFL play-by-play guys and national quality. Your encyclopedic knowledge of the Raiders was always apparent bringing you on the show. And when you got, I'll say it, not you, screwed by your previous team and you joined the Niners organization, I felt like it was only a matter of time. So it's beyond a blessing, I think. And I'll get done kissing your ass in 3 seconds, but I said this without you on the phone. I think in the plethora of classic, legendary Bay Area announcers, when it's all said and done, Mr. Papa, and you pass off this great earth, hopefully 50, 60, 70 years from now, I think you're going to be up there. So, yeah, I think it's perfect. I think it's the best outcome, and I'm just so glad you and the $3 million a year you spend on college tuition are going to be at home in the Bay Area.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. And but it's been a bit of a weird week for me, and I feel very conflicted for many reasons. But I do want to make it clear to the fans of the San Francisco 49ers and everybody that will hear me that I have no reservations about taking this job. Why would I? It's one of the greatest franchises, not only in the NFL, but in all of American sport. I think Bill Walsh is the most impactful, along with Paul Brown. And the irony is that Paul Brown passed on him to be the coach of the Bengals, which allowed him to be the coach of the 49ers. But he changed pro football forever. Changed it then. He continues to change it. Nobody has more of an impact. So I have great respect for Coach Walsh specifically and this franchise generally. I had a chance to work with Coach Walsh in a couple of 2 or 3 college football games, and we spent a lot of time together. So, but at the same time, I lost a job in July that I loved and did for a very long time. So I'm not only sympathetic, I'm empathetic to Ted and what he's going through, and I know it's hard for him. So I'm trying to be respectful there, but I'm also trying to communicate my joy with being chosen to do this, and I will do it. I will do it at the same level I did the Raider games. But the reality is, it doesn't really matter what comes out of my lips. It matters what goes into people's eardrums. And it's how they perceive. Perception is reality. And there'll be some people that are not on board with this, and there are some that will be thrilled. And I'm talking both sides of the Bay, not just the 49ers and their fans, but the Raiders and their fans. So it's a little weird because I'm the only one to not only do the 5, and the Sharks are a major team. I don't mean to denigrate them, but they're kind of new on the block. But the Warriors and the A's and Giants and the Raiders and now 49ers, I'm the first to do all 5. But what makes it special is I'm the only one to do both football teams. So it's a conflict. But the reality is the Raiders are leaving the market for me and my family. This could not have worked out any better. It was nothing that I ever had in my mind. Despite what has been written or believed out there, I contended to do the Raiders games as long as they would have me, and it just didn't last as long as I would have liked or hoped. But I understand what the Raider ownership did. I think if I was in that situation, I would be displeased with their announcer speaking out as I did, but I felt that I had to. So I'm happy to be here. As time goes on, and we're away from the news of the transaction, I will definitely demonstrate my joy with this job more and more. The first and foremost thing is I love football. I mean, I love every sport league, and but just, I just love the NFL. I mean, if I wasn't working in it, I'd be watching every single game. So I just wanted to be in the NFL again. I wanted to do play-by-play again. And to be asked to do it with this team and stay in the Bay Area, I'm just thrilled. And I hope 49er fans understand that, and I hope Raiders understand that as well.
Greg Papa with us. You mentioned the departing with the Raiders, and that's all been dissected, I'm sure enough. But I think what was clear out of that is you had an unbelievably close relationship with the late Mr. Davis, and almost felt a duty to speak your mind. You mentioned the Niners, and it's not like you're going to Tennessee or New York or Miami. You've been very familiar, and you've covered the Niners on your radio show and been in this market forever. But I can't imagine you could ever match the relationship with the Niner franchise that you had with Mr. Davis and the Raider franchise. So when you say it's going to be a little bit weird, is it going to be weird doing a football team that you don't have that almost familial bond with, or will it just be a little different? No,
I will get that bond with them in a different way.
Sure.
I grew up in Buffalo. I was a fan of the Buffalo Bills as a kid, and I watched the Raiders, but I also watched John Brody and Gene Washington and Ken Willard and Charlie Kruger and the 49ers. I watched Coach Nolan. I watched them all. So it's not going to be an issue. I mean, any team that I've done, whether it be the Warriors or the A's or the San Antonio Spurs, I immerse myself not only in the now, but in the forever. The history of the franchises, because they wear the same uniforms and there's a tradition here. Otherwise, I don't know if professional sports would be so intoxicating to people if there wasn't a year before in a history and a comparison. And, Jimmy Garoppolo versus Joe Montana and all that. That's what makes it, last forever and go on from my father and grandfather to my kids. So that's just part of it. The relationship that I had with Al Davis was special. And I don't know if that'll ever be duplicated again with anybody I ever worked with, nor probably should it. I think that, as a young man, I got very close with Chris Mullen. Chris and I were the same age and from the Big East Conference, and we just got really close. And outside of him, though, I really kind of felt, and even though when I was covering some of the A's teams I covered, they were as young as I was, that I just felt like I'll hang out with them some, but it's hard to do what I do and still be, they can't perceive it as though, wow, you're my friend. I can't believe you said that. Well, that's my job, and I'm going to be, it's all about word choice. But I did get close to Al for a variety of reasons. And, it was funny. I saw Jim Barnett last night, and he had read all the quotes that I had about going over to the 49ers, and he's still a bit amazed. I think he respects how loyal I was to Al Davis, but he said you lost that job because of your relationship with a dead man. And for a moment, I was taken back.
Wow.
Like, some people will perceive it that way. You have to move on. I really don't move on. I'm never going to forget him. And I'm never going to. My dad's still alive, and my mom. They're 92 and 90 respectively. And do you forget people like that? No. I'm not going to forget him. And I was around him a lot. I mean, we spent a lot of time together. We spent hours on the phone. He wanted me to write his autobiography. There was a point there when he turned 80, and the AFL was celebrating their 50th. Anniversary year where we did long visits in his office, and he wound up scrapping the idea because it got a little too close to some topics like the Marcus Allen situation. But in any event,
sure.
I probably broke my rule with him, and I got too close to him. But I don't regret that. I don't regret that for a moment. My relationship with him is second to, I think, is with an older man like that to my father. So no, I don't. I lost a job, but I don't take back what I said. I felt compelled to say what I said because I knew what that situation would have meant to Al. So no, I move on, and I would not. Some people would look at it differently. Why you hold it on to the past? But I think the past is important. I don't live in the past or dwell on the past, but I think understanding where we came from, you understand where you are now and where you're going.
Greg Papa with us, we are celebrating his appointment as the new play-by-play voice of the San Francisco 49ers. So Greg, and I know hindsight's 2020, but I found myself smiling when I read the news. And I remember very clearly, I want to say it was the middle of last year. I think I asked you on this show, and I know you were asked a ton, hey, have you thought about going to Vegas? And I'm going to get it a little bit wrong here, but I think your response was basically, you have family to worry about. You had the famous line about, the amount of tuition you're paying and the kids in college and all that. And I don't know if you had internally made the decision to go or not, but it sounded like that was at least a bit of a struggle for you. So it's so interesting to look back. I know you don't like what happened. Who would? But for that to happen to you, and then for you to a year later be able to stay in the same market, to be the play-by-play voice for as legendary as a franchise as the one across the bay, I'd have to say that it worked out pretty damn well.
Yeah, but let me be clear here.
Yeah.
I was never asked to go to Las Vegas. Sure. Las Vegas was never brought up at all. It was initially by some people that worked for the Raiders in the broadcasting department that they wanted me to go, but I got there was no thought of it or talk of it from Mark Bedane or Mark Davis, any of the people that are going to make that decision. It just wasn't discussed. I would, my loyalty to the job that I have. I didn't leave the Golden State Warriors. They left me.
Right.
I didn't leave the Oakland A's. They left me. And then when those teams leave you have to go out. That's what I do for a living. So after I left the Warriors, Greg Popovich called me. I went to work for the Spurs. After I left the A's, Larry Baer called me, and I went to work for the Giants. When this happened, Bob Sargent, Al Guido with the 49ers called me, and I went to work for the 49ers. But I would not have seen myself leaving the Raiders. In the Las Vegas angle, my kids are out of the house now. I don't have the kind of day-to-day responsibilities of fatherhood that would be difficult to do that. And that's a big reason why I chose to stay with a local team as opposed to, working nationally on the weekends for a network, because it's just more travel, and I had to raise a family and be around them more. But the concept of me and my wife flying down to Las Vegas on a Friday, seeing a show, me studying on Saturday like I do, doing the game, and then flying home Sunday night, I don't think that's such a bad thing.
Sure.
I would not have moved to Las Vegas just because I have other commitments here. But if those commitments weren't there, there's a point we could have done that. The bottom line is the Las Vegas thing was in my mind, but I was never asked to go there. I never told anybody I would not go there, and I never thought about leaving the Raiders or working for another team, whether it be the 49ers or another team, until I had a meeting with Mark Bedane July the 5th. That's the first time I ever had to think that way. So, no. I mean, the Vegas thing would have meant more travel, but it's less than an hour flight. There's
Sure.
flights to Las Vegas from everywhere in the world, more than probably any other city outside of New York or Chicago. So, no, I was never asked. I want that to be very clear.
Okay.
And I hope the Raider Nation understands that. I was never was brought up. And the way the relationship was going at the time, I was just trying to figure out if we would be able to stay together the last few years in Oakland, which ultimately we did not.
I don't want to get too delicate here, and you can tell me to push off, but we care about you, and I know you have a lot of fans in this market, and this has been asked many times since I said I was going to have you on. Is one of the advantages of being able to stay in this market? You're not just the play-by-play voice, just like you weren't just the play-by-play voice with the Raiders. I imagine your hope is you'll be able to continue all your other duties fairly seamlessly with the Niners.
Certainly, that's the goal. And I when the Raider thing happened and other situations, my wife and I have always been kind of at a crossroads. Do we pick up and we move? And I'm not from here. She's not from here. I'm from the East Coast. She's from L.A. And there's always other options, but we love the Bay Area. Our kids are somewhat out of the house, but they're not fully out of the house yet. I don't know if they ever do.
Right.
Ever will be, but so no. The way I'm setting this up is continue to do what I do, and I think it speaks to just how wonderful the Bay Area is. I lost a job I did with the Oakland A's for, 14 years. Went to work for another baseball team in the market, the more popular team, frankly, and didn't have to move. I lost a job in the NFL for the team that I did for 21 years, and now I'm working for another team in the Bay Area that has won 5 Super Bowls. We're the original sports team in the Bay Area before the Raiders ever came into existence in 1960, or Franklin Muley moved the A's here in 60, the Warriors here in 62, 63, or the A's moved here. The Niners are the original Bay Area franchise in 46, with all due respect to the San Francisco Seals. We're talking the All-American Conference in the NFL. So I think it's, what other city would I have that ability? None, except New York.
Right.
So it just speaks to the magnificent area that I live in, and I've lived here my entire professional life, with the exception of a couple of years in Indianapolis. To be able to lose jobs in this market, where with the big 3 or 4 sports leagues in this country, and be able to get another one, that really, I'm kind of honored that way, and I'm kind of blessed that it turned out this way.
So I'll say it. I don't know if you think this way or not. I will knock on wood. I will throw some salt over my shoulder, but I would put money on this. Speaking of Vegas, have you thought about the fact that this is likely going to be the NFL play-by-play job you have until you retire? That this is it. I mean, you're home.
Yeah, that's what was discussed with Bob Sargent and Al Guido. I did the Raiders for 21 years, and my hope is to do the 49ers for at least 21 years.
Right.
I'm a pretty clean liver. Hopefully I live longer. I don't know. My dad's still going at 92. Right. So, Musburger's doing the games at 79, and Marv's going strong. Vin Scully was just incredible.
Yep.
Well into his 80s, just never lost anything. A little voice quality, but his mind was sharp. So, they're going to have to pull me out of that booth, I guess. We'll see. There are a lot of factors, obviously. I never intended to leave the Raiders. I never say never, and I never say forever. But yeah, I'm fully taking on this job, thinking that this is going to be my life's work. And I also, we know about Ted and Joe Starkey. Lon Simmons did this job at such a high level. When I first moved here, it was Don Klein that did the games, and Bob Fouts. People don't understand what a great announcer he was, and his son Dan is one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the NFL, and I think he gets slighted when we talk about the great quarterbacks. His ability to throw a football is right there with Dan Marino and Joe Namath to me. He just didn't have enough defense around him. And Dan's become an incredibly fabulous broadcaster, did play-by-play, did studio work, and now I think he is the most underrated analyst in all of football. He's fun. I laugh and I learn every time I hear him, and his dad is a tremendous broadcaster. So, yeah, I fully understand the long history, and these men didn't come in and do this job for a season or two. They did it for many, many years, decades, and that's what I fully intend to do or hope to do.
Well, we are out of time, and it flies by 20 minutes into the interview, and I've vamped this whole time. We've had an interesting conversation, but as you know, there's really only one thing anybody cares about. It's the question you're going to get asked more than anything else, and as a lifelong Niner fan, I'm just curious if you have made the decision on Sundays this fall, will we be hearing touchdown Niners?
That's pretty good.
That didn't suck.
I will say one thing. I will say I'm not going to say Niners.
No,
I have a hard time with that.
Oh, thank goodness.
The name of the team is the 49ers.
Right.
So I occasionally, I probably in this interview referred to them as the Niners. I don't like that. When I did the Oakland Athletics games, I called them the Oakland Athletics as much as I could. I probably said the A's schedule, and I dropped an A's here and there, but I don't like that. I never refer to the Golden State Warriors, the Warriors, as the Dubs. I don't know where the hell that started, and I don't like that. Well, so it will not be Niners. I will probably, because it's just become accepted. And again, I probably have said that during our conversation this morning when I referred to them as the Niners, but I am not going to say touchdown Niners. I assure you of that.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to listen. I think I'm going to go back and get tapes on Bob Fouts, whatever are available, and Don Klein and Lon. and Ted and Joe, and I'm going to listen. And the Touchdown Raiders was really my tribute to Bill King, who I loved. He really taught me so much about broadcasting, and specifically broadcasting football. He helped me so much in my early days when I was really struggling with doing it. When he was doing the A's and I was doing the A's, athletics games, I should say, not the A's. So it was a tribute, Bill's Touchdown Raiders, and it kind of started out that way as my way to show respect for him.
Sure.
And then I just kind of made it my own and stole the soccer goalie. What's his name? Andres Cantor.
Cantora, yes.
Cantor, yeah. I kind of stole a little bit of that. I thought his line was fun, and it's just because I equate touchdowns in the NFL and football to soccer goals. They're a little more frequent, but more like a hockey goal. And you're only going to have 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5. There's not going to be many of these in the game, and whoever gets the most of them is going to win the game, by and large. So that is the defining moment of a game, is scoring a touchdown. And that's one thing Al Davis always taught me. It's not about first downs, and you got to score touchdowns. It's all about touchdown every play. So touchdowns are huge, so that's why I go over the top on them. But as far as the touchdown will be in the call, obviously, because that's what's been accomplished. And then after that, how I exactly do it, I'll probably listen to those great announcers and really remind myself of how they did it. And I may throw a tribute to them, or one of them, the way I did with Bill.
Well, I just say, and we'll end like this.
Great news for me.
Dumb fat sports donkey here on the radio, advising the Hall of Fame broadcaster. The Touchdown Raiders, the syllabic alliteration.
The Raiders, yeah.
Yeah, the two syllables, which is why I said Touchdown Niners. Yeah. But if you don't want to do that, Greg, then maybe to endear yourself to the audience, you say Touchdown Frisco, because I know they love that.
I'll just say the first meeting I ever had when I was what was I, 24, and I went to work for the Warriors in 1986.
Uh-huh.
And I went out for a lunch with the KNBR people. It was Bill Dwyer. I don't know if you know Bill Dwyer. And Jay Barrington. And Jay was like the classics, cigarette-smoking radio guy.
Sure.
I don't know, we drank like 4 martinis. I'm 24 years old. I never had a martini. I was like, well, somebody drive me home. And all they said was, kid, you're going to do great here. Just don't ever call it Frisco. And I said, I'm not in Texas, so I'm not going to call it Frisco. I know that.
Congratulations, Greg. We all love you and are very proud of you over here. And again, beyond that, as a lifelong Niner fan, Kyle, a lifelong Niner fan. I can't speak for the whole fan base, but I think I speak for the vast, vast, vast majority, and the minority will get used to it. We could not be happier, and I look forward to talking to you with you about Niner football next year.
Well, you know what? Since I was unemployed this year, you guys kind of forgot my number. So if you want to call me in the fall again and talk football, I'm available to my friends. I'm just questioning if you guys still want me on. But
we'll get you back pay. We got to pay you more now. That's the problem.
I didn't work. No play, no pay. So I don't know.
You're the best. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Congratulations, Greg.
Thank you so much.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Take care. That is Greg Papa. You can tell he's happy, and good for him. Good for him. Very, 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 very cool. And that is the new voice of your San Francisco 49ers. That was fun.
I'm so glad to hear he's going to say 49ers.
I'm not. Listen, I'm sorry. It's his gig, and he's the best. Touchdown 49ers.
That's what freaking Ted Robinson says.
Touchdown Raiders. Touchdown Niners.
But it's not going to be the same call. He said it's a tribute to Bill King, the Raiders broadcaster.
I know.
So he's going to switch it up a little bit. He's not going to bring over the same call. He's going to have a new one, and he's going to say 49ers, and it's going to be awesome.
You know what the correct answer is? Whatever he does, it's going to be the right thing.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I keep telling you.
And he said 49ers.
Just trust him. Kyle. Trust the Hall of Fame. Trust one of the greatest.
No, that's cool, dude. No, cool. Cool, man. Awesome.
Cool.
Really cool.
We'll take a break. When we get back, Kyle will pull himself together emotionally, we hope, and do a course.
I'm a wreck.
Cold hard fact.
A cold hard emotional breakdown.
Right here on the Drive, Sports 1140 KHTK.
This is Kyle Madsen with your top stories on Sports 1140. I'm a little winded because I was trying to take my drink container from the coffee shop I got coffee from, the drink carrier, and I was trying to frisbee it into the garbage can, and I nailed it on the first try. So,
hey, congratulations.
and by first
man.
try, I mean probably 8th or 9th.
Yeah, people have started to notice. They're watching on the video feed how terrible you are at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really tough. Anyways.
Maybe you'll have a triple-double.
Yeah. That's 3 of 20.
Good job, Russ.
Thanks, man. The Kings lost last night, 117-113.
Yeah, I know.
And the NFL playoffs start this weekend.
Knew that
Bet
too.
you didn't know that. No, you didn't. The Colts are at the Texans. The Seahawks are at the Cowboys. The Chargers are at the Ravens. And the Eagles are visiting the Bears. That's the wild card weekend slate. That starts Saturday. It's 8:35. Time to plan your playoff party. I was doing so good. It's 8:35. Time to plan your football playoff party treats. Start at your local Sprouts Farmers Market and Sprouts.com.
Hey, I know we got to go. Very soon, we're going to be telling you about an insane contest
Like
we're having.
was being filled in yesterday and thought we were talking about separate contests. It's one.
All around the big game. Stay tuned for details.
All around the big game.
Big game.
That huge game.
It's a big one.
It's the drive on Sports 140 KC. Here we go.
The drive continues now.
All done.
Thanks, man.
We'll have all new music for the show. Not all new. Not changing everything.
We'll have some new music for the show.
Yeah.
I like the idea of being able to pick and change it each day.
I've always been on the fringe about that.
I like the idea of having the same hour, like at each hour having the same song.
And we'll keep those. We'll keep California Love to open the show. We will keep Jet at 7 a.m. We'll keep Muse is Uprising at 8. Pretty much everything else gets switched up, though. So stay tuned for that on Monday. Also, content. Notice I didn't say good or bad. Before we get to the Cold Hard Facts, brought to you by Coors Light. And,
Let's go quick because I want to get into something in this segment.
Okay, let's do everything Kyle wants to do. I was just going to talk about All-Star voting. I can do that. I'll do that in What's on Tap. How's that? I'll do that.
Okay.
What's on
I like
Tap.
that idea. That's a good idea.
We'll talk about All-Star
Producing
voting.
on the fly.
Yeah, producing on the fly. Cold Hard Facts.
So here's a cold, hard fact for you.
You going to play the thing?
No.
Okay. I mean, you can.
No, I'm going to. Hang on. It's not been in the...
Hey, listen, when you take the wheel, much like that song When Jesus Does It, when you take the wheel, nowhere you gotta hit the exit. You can't just go.
Yeah, I know, Dave.
You can't blow by. And then we have to get off the freeway, take a U-turn.
All right, I get it.
It's time for the Coors Light Cold Hard Fact of the Day. Here's Kyle Madsen.
This emotional breakdown brought to you by 538 wrote an article in 2017.
Yeah. That's it?
Yep.
Okay.
That's our cold hard fact.
Probably wrote one in 2018 too.
Home team winning percentage in the regular season is 57.1%.
Okay.
In the NFL.
In the NFL.
In the postseason, that jumps to 64.7%.
Wow.
Home team winning percentage. It's almost a 12% jump. Wait, hang on. It's a 12% jump from overall winning percentage.
Correct. Sean said 3 or 4 road teams are winning this weekend.
Right.
Wow.
And that's why when I say I'm picking that team because they're the home team.
Yeah.
That's
why. That's a part of it.
Yeah.
You're riding the stats.
Yeah, Kevin Clark of The Ringer talked about this, how like every big call in a playoff game goes for the home team.
Sure.
And in games that are going to be this close, that are as close as I think these are going to be, one big call could really swing the entire thing. And if that's going to go for the home team, you gotta like them.
I texted Greg Papa during the break.
Oh no!
I said that was a blast. Thanks and congratulations again. # touchdown Frisco. He sent me back a Bitmoji of him spiking a ball into the ground with touchdown in big. Eunice, I hope I'm holding this up right. I'll keep it so people can hopefully see. It's a Bitmoji of Greg Papa holding spiking a football with a big green touchdown over it. Yeah, that's. Who would have thought Greg Papa's a Bitmoji guy? Except we talked about that earlier. I don't know. Well, you could see that on the. I'll probably tweet that out. Kyle, that is a heck of a cold hard stat brought to you by Coors Light.
Thanks, man.
Well, it's kind of whited out. That's not her fault. Oh, there we go. There we go.
538.
Yeah.
Gives, and I want to do our NFL playoff team power rankings.
Ooh.
Now that we have a couple minutes left.
Okay. Interesting.
Do you want the 538 odds before or after you power rank?
After. I don't want to be influenced.
Okay.
I don't want to be influenced. So do we want to go from bottom to top or top to bottom?
Let's go bottom to top.
Houston, Seattle, Dallas, Indy, Philly, Baltimore, Chargers, Bears, give me a second, Patriots, Chiefs, Rams, Saints.
Okay, hang on. Let me get mine down here.
Okay.
I've got Cowboys at the bottom, followed by the Ravens. And I'm doing this based on the team that I would be most surprised to see win the Super Bowl.
When you say Cowboys at the bottom, followed by the Ravens, meaning the Ravens are above.
Yeah.
Are more likely.
Cowboys number 12, Ravens number 11.
Okay.
Then I have the Colts. Then I have the Texans. Then I have the Eagles. Then Seahawks. I think the Seahawks are after the Eagles. Then Chargers. Rams. Bears. Patriots, Chiefs, Saints.
Wow. I'm only a little bit surprised at a couple. I'm surprised you have the Rams 5 down, and I'm also surprised that you have Seattle, Houston, and perhaps even Indianapolis ahead of Baltimore.
Yeah, I
feel like Baltimore's a little low. But what do I know? I'm nitpicking.
Sure, you picked them. I picked them to win this week. You picked them to lose.
Yeah, but I know exactly.
When I think of a team in 2018 that's going to have to run the ball 40 times a game to win, I can't. That's tough for me to envision.
Right.
So that's why they're so low. The Patriots are at number 3 because
they're the Patriots.
They're the Patriots.
Right. That's fair. It's fair to say that about them.
And if any team's going to go into Arrowhead and win, I could super see the Patriots doing it. Where they just surprise everybody and completely just change what they do offensively and throw something schematically at Andy Reid that he wasn't ready for on defense.
What does 538 say?
538, and we got to go quick here. At the bottom, it's the Colts, followed by the Texans, then the Cowboys. They all have a 3% chance to win the Super Bowl. Then it's Seattle, Philly, and the Chargers. They all have a 4% chance to win the Super Bowl. After that, it's the Ravens at 6%, Bears at 7%, Rams at 13%, then Patriots at 14%, Chiefs at 20%, New Orleans at 21%. I would be fascinated to see what New Orleans' percentage is if they were going to have to play a road playoff game.
I agree. I think that makes a whole big difference, especially for certain teams.
There are no teams in the NFC or the AFC, for that matter, that I think can go in and beat the Saints in their building. Mm-hmm. And then the Super Bowl is going to be indoors.
Yeah. Before we break, one last cold hard fact brought to you by Coors Light. We have a Bentley, the 3-year-old update. Cold hard fact, Bentley was scared of Slamson, but loved the cow shooting hoops at the Kings game last night. That's good. I don't mind Bentley updates. Bentley can be, you know what? I'm going to say it right now, Kyle. Bentley, official 3-year-old of the drive. Congratulations, Bentley. There was a long process.
Yeah. There were several 3-year-olds to choose from.
Yeah, we don't want just a trash baby representing the drive.
Yeah. We need a strong radio baby.
We need a radio baby with flavor, swag. And obviously, if your name is Bentley,
you have both of those things.
You have swag, you have flavor. You're probably going to be a butler. And that's fine because we are the butlers of sports talk radio. We make sure you're taken care of. Okay, I tried.
And everybody knows that Jeffrey was the best character in Fresh Prince.
Oh, that's a great point right there. Yeah. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, what's on tap? And if Kyle allows it, we'll get to the All-Star game of the NBA. Well, we'll figure it out next. Friday edition of What's on Tap. That means it's the final What's on Tap of the week. Holiday's officially over on Monday. This is a 3-day week, preceded by a 3-day week. Back to full shows, or should I say full weeks, on Monday. We'll do that for a few weeks, and then I start my vacations. You want to go? You're invited.
Yes, I would love to.
Okay. We can't talk about this yet, but we may very well be taking a very brief vacation together, sort of, coming up very soon.
Soon?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
You know, the thing with the
Are
deal.
we going to figure that out today?
I think we'll figure that out today and maybe announce it next week.
That'd be neat.
What do I want to do? Just relax.
NBA All-Star voting? Well, we have to do What's on Tap.
Yeah, What's on Tap brought to you by?
Oh, What's on Tap brought to you by Soup Ladles.
I made a gumbo over the weekend, and the week before I made a chili.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, trying to get soup out of a pot with a regular spoon. Now, I'm not talking about the eating spoon, but like a plastic bigger spoon.
Right. A disaster.
It's garbage.
Right.
And if you try to pour it directly out of the pot, it's just going to splash everywhere.
Right. It drips down the side because you can't get enough fork.
Right. Ladles, you pick it up. Yeah. What do you do on the edge of it?
It's a bowl on a stick.
Yeah, it really is.
It's the soup ladle.
What's on tap? You've got the Kings and Warriors tomorrow. You have all kinds of NFL playoffs this weekend. We've talked about that at length. Now, I did say I was going to talk about all-star voting. All I was going to really say is that DeMarcus Cousins hasn't played yet this year, and yet he is what is it, 20th in voting in the Western Conference. They released the top 10 at each position. DeMarcus Cousins had 92,977 votes. He is 10th in the front court and 20th overall in the Western Conference. However, that still beat out 7 of the top 20 in the Eastern Conference. If the voting ended today, Dwayne Wade would start in the East.
Mm-hmm.
Derrick Rose would start in the West.
Derrick Rose would be the team captain in the West. Ugh.
How about this one? Luka Doncic would start in the West.
I don't know why you have to bring that up.
Just saying.
Is that why you brought up all-star voting?
Yes. It was all a convoluted plan to get out the fact that Luka Doncic.
Get over it, Dave.
Anyway. There is one very important text. I would like to finish up the show on this from the 209. Dave, you said Kings talk from 8:30 to 9 on your Twitter last night. WTF is this? Talk Kings and Willie. I worked a graveyard shift, and I'm waiting for your hot takes.
Oh, luckily there's a podcast.
There is a podcast.
It's literally up right now.
That's very fair. I will say this. The big Willie Cauley-Stein take was at 7 a.m., so I invite you to listen to that. I think we're going to have a video clip I'll put out as well and share on social media for those of you who couldn't listen at 7 a.m. But basically what I said is that I think Willie deserves all the criticism in the world for his play. But it does worry me that some of that criticism is turning nasty. sending him photoshopped pictures of him on a toilet paper roll. While perhaps funny, and I'm all for that, adding him on social media, calling him trash, calling him a trash person, calling him soft, questioning his heart. Willie may just be a free spirit who plays basketball to allow him to do other things. And the fact that we feel like we know, and I believe this, I believe that Willie cauley-stein, if you took, name the guy, Draymond Green, for example, just to name one I can't stand, but if you took his intensity and put that in Willie's body, I think, I've said this before, I think Willie cauley-stein would be an all-star, and I get laughed at for that. I truly believe that.
There's no reason he can't be Clint Capella for the Kings.
But even if you want Willie off this team more than anybody else in the fan base, it is within your best interest to have him start and shine so that he can get traded and the Kings can get value out of him. I'm not saying that's what they're going to do, but I'm saying if you feel that way, he can't be benched because he's checking out in a contract year. It's not going to work.
10-5 when he has 10-plus rebounds. 4-14. 9-14 when he has fewer than 10.
From the 916, Luka Doncic is very good at basketball. At least for the present, you were right in recommending we draft him, you bastard. Well, that's a good way to end. For Eunice, for Kyle Madsen, I am Carmichael Dave. Thanks to all of you. Want to see all of you +1 Monday at 6 a.m. Jim Rome is next. Enjoy the rest of your broadcast day. Sports 1140 KHTK. Bye now.